Another episode. In this episode, I want to talk about RICO OSBY, one of my best friends that I ever had. Yeah, man, shout out to that boy. Unfortunately, I haven't talked to him since our teenage years. But he was a saucy dude, man. Let's talk about it. I had to have met Rico. It was my sophomore year of high school. I went to Green Bay East High School in Green Bay. And Rico, he had a sister named Sharika, beautiful girl. She was super cool. I never hit on her, you know what I mean? Okay, I'm lying. I hit on her a couple times. But anyway, Sharika was super cool. Me and her had a class together. So I knew her before I knew Rico. How I met Rico, I was late for school one day. He was walking out of the school. I was walking into the school. And I seen him. I never saw him before this moment. So when he's walking past, I say, hey, us light-skinned niggas, we got to stick together. And he laughed a little bit. He's like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's kind of how he talked. Hell yeah. So I was like probably 5'10" back then. He probably like 5'8". I remember him being up there, but he was like a couple inches shorter than me. And he had this afro. Like, I don't know if you remember Kobe from like 96 to the year 2000. Kobe had an afro. Look it up if you ain't seen it. That's the kind of afro my dog Rico had. And he always had this pick in his hair. So me and him hit it off instantly, man. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm in a foster home, the Robs house, Leonard and Judy Robs. They lived in Alloway. This was like my third foster home. What was unique about that foster home is they used to just give me like $200 every month out of whatever foster kid money they got every month and just let me run the streets. Like, I ain't have no curfew. I didn't have to be back, nothing. I could do whatever I wanted. Crazy. To hear more about that particular family, follow the main Drips of Hell storyline. So getting back to Rico, it was cool because, at that point, having no structure, and really no love, none of that. Again, I was glued to the streets, but I ain't necessarily have my ace, my right-hand man. So meeting Rico was exciting for me. You know what I mean? Because he was always on the same shit as me. You know what I mean? We skipping school, smoking our little smoke, whatever. He used to drink these 211s, which was disgusting. I never got big into drinking, but anyway, so a couple stories, man, from me and Rico. There was a lot of GDs in Green Bay at that time, you know what I mean? And so that was a big, heavy influence. So I remember, he wanted to get jumped in, just some goofy shit back then. But Rico, he could throw hands. So I remember it was probably like three dudes. They say, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We gotta jump you or whatever. And they go to jump him, and you're supposed to just take the punches. And Rico, he didn't. He just started throwing them back. You know what I mean? And he pretty much wound up beating them niggas up. You know what I'm saying? All three of them. You know what I mean? To the point where it was like, it seemed like Rico jumped them into the gang. You know what I mean? Just a real hitter like that. One story about Rico, he was slimy. So I had a job at A&W. It was right around the corner from a house he lived at. And so I'm working at A&W. This nigga go up to the gas station and he robs the gas station that's connected to the A&W. And I didn't really know it was him at first, you know what I mean? I'm just at A&W and I see a nigga running to the gas station, you know what I mean? And point the blick and say, hey, money in the bag type shit. And you know what I mean? They put the money in the bag. Rico had a funny type bounce in his step, you know what I mean? Like so when he turned around, he looked at me for a second. He had a mask on, so I couldn't see his face, but I could picture the smile. And you know what I mean? And then I saw the way he bounced out the door. I'm like, that's my nigga. Like, you know what I mean? Like on some gangster shit. And he was just slimy like that. And what's crazy about that particular occasion, when I got done with work, of course I went and slid at his crib. He only lived like 2 blocks away or whatever from the gas station. To be like, damn, what happened? Or to laugh about it with him. I got over there. I'm there for not even 5 or 10 minutes. And I promise you the police showed up to his crib. And the police, they knock on his door. You know what I mean? And they ask him, you know, the whatever questions they ask him. You know what I mean? And of course, my dog ain't no dummy. So, you know, they couldn't do nothing to him. You know, they questioned him for like 10, 15, 20 minutes type shit, and then they left. Um, he wasn't no dummy. But yeah, you know, my heart was pounding when they showed up to the door. I'm like, what the fuck? How, you know, what the fuck? You know, as a little nigga, man, especially in the streets, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's just crazy, crazy shit. Crazy shit. Fast forward. So that was actually during the school year. Fast forward to the summer, you know, we still kicking it. He got his little girl. I think he dating this girl named Candace. I don't know how old she was. She had to been 17, 18, already had a baby. You know, so this nigga Rico playing stepdad, he only 15 or some shit. You know, and I had this older chick. She was like 34. I'm like 16. You know what I mean? And we just finding places to stay at, whether it's with my chick or his chick, and we partying every night. You know what I'm saying? And just I just remember it being great vibes. And when we weren't partying, the cool thing about Rico, we used to go on these walks and just talk and just vibe. You know, and sometimes we'll roast the shit out of niggas. You know what I'm saying? He'll have me laughing, rolling. Could nobody roast niggas like Rico? Could nobody roast like Rico? Except me. We might roast each other. Them used to be the most epic battles. That's what made him the realest nigga to me. You know what I'm saying? He ain't take none of that shit personal. To me, Rico was a real gangster. One of the few gangsters. You know what I'm saying? He stood for what he stood for. And you know, he was a lover too, you know what I mean? He was good to his girl. Even as a young nigga. He always trying to, you know, do shit for the baby and stuff. Me and him, maybe we kicked it for a year. Could have been a year and a half. And like I said, you know, at this point in my life, I'm in my third foster home. I don't have any family structure. My mom passed away, and I don't really have any close friendships. My brothers are all in different homes. So Rico, being my right hand dog, I'm like, I just felt normal. I felt great. It was a relationship I started to rely on, and it only lasted a year and a half. So what happened? Bam. So as far as Rico's home life, he didn't have his mom in the picture, and I forget why. I forget why his mom wasn't in the picture, but his dad was raising him and Sharika. Um, and his dad was like an old school pimp kind of nigga with a van. I remember he had a van. So anyway, they weren't from Green Bay. I forget where they were from. They were from a different part. But for some reason, their dad, he used to like just up and leave to a new city and have them living in a new city just randomly. And unfortunately, he did that, out the blue. They left Green Bay and moved to Iowa, just out the blue. That shit broke my heart. Rico didn't even have a chance really to say goodbye to me in person. And I don't know what his dad's story was. You know what I mean? If his dad had legal shit going on or, you know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck it was. But that shit crushed me, because like I said, just didn't see it coming. Like one day we sliming it out and all of a sudden, boom, he's gone. Not only gone, but you how many hours away and I'm a high schooler, you know what I mean? I ain't got no whip, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be able to go out there and we don't even really back then, we didn't really have cell phones like we do now. So yeah, shit was fried. Only reason why I found out he was in Iowa, he did call me one time. So that relationship ended after a year and a half. Now, fast forward, I looked up Rico's name, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, and found out that he was actually in prison. He's in the joint for attempted murder, shanking somebody. And I think I did read, there's like some court documents, public documents that are available that I found that I read and shit. And man, yeah, it's unfortunate. You know what I mean? So he probably gonna spend the rest of his life or the majority of the rest of his life there. It's crazy for me to think about. It breaks my heart right now. And it's true what they say, the place that we come from, people wind up dead or in jail. Obviously, I can't judge him. I don't even know the circumstances, his thought process, anything. I just know, you know, not being able to be there, eats at me. I know him being in a new place. and the kind of lifestyle he living, you know, not having a big homie around, somebody to kind of guide him. I don't know, man. Shout out to you, Rico, you know what I mean? This makes me feel like, you know what I mean, trying to get in touch with you. Miss you, my dog. I ain't forgot about you, man. Big heart sauce. And just know, this ascent to the top, because I used to rap even back then. Mr. Rico Osby, I'm going to make it to the top for you. Hey, I appreciate you listening to that podcast episode, another episode from the Drips of Hell series, which is the Dripman backstory. To catch other episodes, just click on this playlist right here and get yourself up to date. This particular episode is a side episode just to help flesh out all the characters within the main storyline. The main storyline is from the Drips of Hell, and yeah, stay tuned for more.